You've indicated that there's a system that's badly in need of reform, particularly with regard to evaluating teachers. And yet, as I understood you, you're going to leave to the individual school districts in New Jersey, the teachers there, the responsibility for designing that evaluation system. Why would you trust the bureaucracy that you think has screwed things up to come up with evaluation systems that will be fair and that will be equitable across the state of New Jersey?
Well,
and the second, the connected question is, what do you think the appropriate local, state, and federal role is with respect to these issues? Where should Washington be involved? Where should the state be involved? And where is it essentially a local responsibility?
I'll start with the last question first. My view is the federal government's main role is to use money to incentivize change. I don't think they should be setting specific policies at the federal level, specific requirements. I think that's government that's much too far away from the actual place where learning is happening or not. So I think that the federal government, I think the president has done a pretty good job at this with Race to the Top and some other issues where he's used money to try to drive change. And so I think that's what the federal government should be using predominantly, is decide how do we, in very broad strokes, want to change the system, and let's use federal money to try to drive that change. On the state level, I think we've gotten much too, and the Commissioner and I have talked about this a lot, much too involved in the micromanagement of each and every school district, which leads me into your first question. Listen, I trust teachers. I think teachers hate the current system. They hate having an ineffective teacher next door and making the same as they are and hurting those kids. And I believe if you empower teachers to be a large part of the decision-making process in how those evaluations work, and we'll set standards for what needs to be in there. 50% of it has to be on student performance, 50% on teacher practice. Of that student performance, at least 35% of it has to be based on test scores. The other 15% could be on measures that allow flexibility in that district, because each district is going to judge their children a little bit differently. And that all of the evaluation and use of tests should be based on growth, not on the raw score. Because some kids are going to start down in the 50s and some kids are going to start in the 80s. The raw number can't be what we determine. I think that's one of the mistakes we've made. It has to be about growth and progress. And that's the way teachers need to be evaluated. How did this child walk in, and how did they leave? And if they left significantly better than when they walked in, even if their number is still low because they started low, that teacher should be rewarded for that, because he or she has made progress happen. I think where we get in trouble on the state level is when we dictate to them every term of this, because then they're not empowered to be able to give the kind of innovation that we need to be able to have each school district deal with their particular population. What needs to be done in Short Hills, New Jersey, Milburn Short Hills, is significantly different than what needs to be done in Patterson. And we should empower folks, but in the end, I think the theme throughout this entire talk, I hope, has been about accountability. You got to be accountable for results. And if you're not accountable for results, that's where the state has to come in and provide the penalties for lack of accountability. And so I want to empower teachers to be part of it. I think that will lower the fear level a bit. But remember, even implied in your question is a conflating of teachers and the union. I don't trust the union to develop these rules. In my plan, the union will have nothing to do with developing these rules. The teachers in the individual districts will have to do it. The union will play no role in trying to do it. And I think that's where maybe the disconnect is a little bit.